There's a saying in personal finance you've probably heard. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. But in retirement, the rules change. It's not how much you have, it's how much you can spend. Right now, a lot of people I talk to have some version of the same worry. Will the stock market crash? Have I saved enough? Am I going to be okay? If you're within 5 to 10 years of retirement, or maybe you're already there, those concerns aren't just uncomfortable, they'll change how you plan, how you spend, and how you sleep at night. Today I want to talk about why that fear exists, why the current model of retirement actually is making it worse, and whether there's a better way to think about retirement income, because I think there is. Most retirement planning is focused on one thing, building the biggest nest egg possible, the largest retirement account. Now, a healthy net worth is great, but there's a reason this exists as the primary goal. The people advising you get paid for assets under management, so they have every incentive to help you grow the largest account balance possible. The bigger the account, the more they earn, potentially for the rest of your life. That's not necessarily bad, but it means the conversation stops at accumulation. The problem, net worth doesn't pay your bills, cash flow does. You can have $2 million in a retirement account and you can still feel nervous every time you make a withdrawal. You're watching the balance go down and you're hoping that the money lasts as long as you do. And this is just how retirement planning is done. The most widely used formula in financial planning may be the 4% rule. Here's the idea. You build a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds and you withdraw 4% per year, and that should last you 30 years or more. Now, the first problem, you have to save 25 times your expenses in order for the math to work. If you want $60,000 per year to spend, that's $1.5 million. That's achievable for some people, but it's not realistic for everyone. And what's even more interesting and maybe a little unsettling, these numbers come from Monte Carlo simulations, computer modeling that tests various scenarios, especially backdating, looking at the market. If the bond market does this, if the stock market does that, then what happens to your portfolio? Testing thousands of simulations, they can see what the probabilities are of a portfolio lasting. With a 50-50 stock to bond split, 95 to 96% of portfolios lasted. Those might sound like pretty good odds, but would you get on a plane that had a 96% chance of making it to the destination? I wouldn't. So the 4% rule either requires you to save more than might be realistic, take on more risk than you want to, or live with a lot of uncertainty. One of the problems I'm seeing these days is some people are so nervous about the market, they're not even investing. They're keeping their money in bank CDs. Their money is dramatically under earning and they've got no guarantee of what those future rates would be. Maybe there's a better way. There's a statistic that reframed everything for me. It comes from the American College of Financial Services and BlackRock. Research found that retirees that were retiring with a guaranteed lifetime income felt free to spend up to twice as much as those that were relying on a market-based portfolio. Not because they had more money, but because they had more certainty. When you know a check is coming every month, no matter what the stock market does, you live differently, you spend differently, you sleep better. Certainty changes everything. And this brings me to something I talk about a lot. I call it the new retirement paradigm. The old model is based on building the largest net worth possible, and then you figure out later how to turn that into income. One of the distinctions of the new paradigm is that you build multiple streams of income over time, and you let that fund your life. This might include Social Security, real estate income, dividend income, business income such as royalties, licensing, or consulting, and yes, guaranteed annuity income. I know that word can have baggage, but stick with me here. And here's a key insight. This isn't either or. This isn't put everything in an annuity versus have everything in the stock market. It's both growth and cash flow working together. You can think of it like a government pension or a military retirement. A lot of people will use that as a base salary to create some financial security. And then you're not panic selling your investments when the market gets volatile. You're not afraid to spend because you've got predictability. So the goal shouldn't be necessarily the biggest account. The goal should be sustainable cash flow, reliable sources of income that stack up over time. lifetime. So how do you create that guaranteed income floor? For a lot of people, one of the most powerful tools is an annuity. You may have heard Shaquille O'Neal talk about this. He met someone that was very influential in his life and asked him about how he built and kept his wealth. The man said, "Remember this word, annuity." Now, early on in his career, Shaquille O'Neal had spent a lot of money very quickly, and he became aware that a lot of the players around him, the statistics are not good. 1 out of 3 NBA players ends up broke within 5 years, in spite of the millions of dollars they earn. He didn't want to be in that category. He actually became a very savvy businessman. He's got a net worth of $500 million now. And he's a big fan of annuities because he learned that the game wasn't just about making money, it was about keeping money and making sure that you had cash flow for the future. Recently, he was interviewed on the School of Hard Knocks, and he reiterated that advice that everyone should learn the word annuity. But not all annuities are equal by any means. Some are complex, they're full of high fees, and the wrong annuity in your portfolio can be a liability. That's why understanding the different types matter so much. There's MYGAs, multi-year guaranteed annuities, fixed annuities, indexed annuities, variable annuities. They all work differently. At its core, an annuity is simply a contract with a life insurance company. We associate the word annuity oftentimes with lifetime payments, but not all annuities work the same way. Generally, you contribute money and they make guarantees. They're life insurance companies, so they can make guarantees, unlike the stock market. Oftentimes, those guarantees have to do with principal protection or guaranteed payments for life, even sometimes long-term care benefit riders. The right one depends entirely on your situation, which is why it's important to have good information. The more that people understand their options, the better decisions they make. So here's where I want to leave you. Life should be an adventure, but your cash flow should be predictable, especially in retirement. You've worked too hard to spend your later years anxious about cash flow, afraid to spend your money, checking the Wall Street Journal every morning. Guaranteed income isn't about giving up growth. As a matter of fact, you can defer and grow that cash flow stream larger and larger. And some people will use annuities maybe like CD ladders, where you have different ones that you employ on different timeframes. It's about building a foundation so the rest of your financial life has something solid to stand on. A base that funds your freedom, a floor that keeps the rest of your portfolio growing. If that resonates with you, I'd love to invite you to a free training with retirement income specialist Scott McRae, Risk-Free Retirement Income. We're going deep into annuities, the good ones, the ones to avoid, and real case studies so you can see how this actually works in practice. We just helped somebody move out of bank CDs into an annuity, and she is going to end up at least doubling, if not tripling her income. If you've missed it, leave a comment and say replay, and I will send you the Risk-Free Retirement Income replay. If this video was helpful, please like, please subscribe, please share this with someone who might be navigating some of the same questions.